This was an attempted coup, an attempt to steal an election and weaponizing the Justice Department in the process. That's both illegal and pretty much the most un-American thing you can come up with in your wild imagination.
More reaction tonight to those stunning new details on just how the twice impeached former president tried to overturn an election, including telling the DOJ to, quote, just say the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me. Bill Kristol put it bluntly, this was the closest we've ever come to a genuine presidential usurpation. But that wasn't the only major development coming from the Attorney General's Justice Department today. The DOJ reversed an earlier decision and now says the IRS must release 6 years of Trump's tax returns to House investigators. Just a few days ago, the Justice Department said it won't move to block former Trump officials from testifying to the January 6th Select Committee. So plenty to talk about tonight with Victoria DeFrancesco Soto, professor and assistant dean at the LBJ School of Public Affairs at the University of Texas in Austin, and the aforementioned Bill Kristol, author, writer, thinker, and Politico, veteran of the Reagan and Bush administrations and editor-at-large at The Bulwark. Great to see you both. Bill Kristol, put it in perspective for us. How does Trump's pressure on the DOJ reveal how close we came to usurping the presidency?
You know, Chris, the events of January 6th are so dramatic and, of course, brought back into high relief by the very moving testimony of the Capitol Police officers this week, that one tends to forget a little bit about what happened between November 3rd and January 6th and what happened behind the scenes, what Trump tried to do, not in public, with the Justice Department, with the Defense Department, with state election officials in Michigan and Georgia, in a pretty systematic effort to overturn the election, which is pretty amazing. The sitting president is something that has not really happened in the U.S. A sitting president trying to reverse the verdict of the people and stay in office using the instrumentalities of government. He fires the Secretary of Defense. He forces out basically the Attorney General. Luckily, the Deputy Attorney General, who he thought would be more pliant, seems to have resisted him in that call that was released today. He thought about getting rid of him and trying to replace him with a more cooperative person to run the Justice Department, came close to replacing the FBI and CIA directors. I think when you put it all together, and I hope the hearings really do this in a systematic way, we'll both be shocked by the incredible irresponsibility and callousness of fostering an attack on the Capitol, obviously, but also by this much more systematic effort to overturn the election and really see the depth of what, how, as Neil Katyal said, is how un-American what Trump tried to do was, and then be astounded that one of our two major parties still seems to regard him as its leader.
Yeah, Victoria, so with these revelations of just how much pressure was put on DOJ pushing these baseless claims, we also have the ruling that former Trump officials can be subpoenaed by the January 6th Select Committee. Would you expect not just that committee, potentially others, to move maybe quickly? I mean, Team Trump, of course, is probably going to push back and once again is framing it all as a witch hunt. But how do you see it playing out?
You know, I think that what we have seen over the course of this week, Chris, you know, with the testimony from the January 6th Commission and then what we saw from the DOJ just really highlights how close we came to the edge, because this isn't supposed to happen in the United States. I think that the other piece of this that you mentioned earlier in Trump giving up his tax returns. Well, this to me, I'm standing way back, maybe 3 steps back. This to me is about the branch of Congress reasserting checks and balances, because what we saw during the whole Trump presidency, and especially during that interim of the election in January 6th, was an unbridled president. We have seen presidential power grow over the last several decades, and it really ballooned under Trump. So this is where we see the need for a Congress to come and reassert itself. And even though it may seem minor now because Trump is out of office and it's more about a criminal issue, the fact that they can check his power because he might have been beholden to foreign powers while he was president is crucial to securing our democratic institutions, because really this is at the end of the day about small d democratic theory.
So Bill Kristol, Peggy Noonan at the Wall Street Journal writes this about the January 6th Commission. Members of the Republican leadership are making a huge error in how they are responding to the committee. They misunderstand their own position. they should be quietly trying to push away from the disaster by leaving it on Mr. Trump and his White House, not their own party. And then she went on to criticize Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Is it too late, do you think, Bill, for Republicans to change course and, as Peggy put it, nail everybody involved?
Well, they could do it, I suppose, and maybe they will, and it's better if they do than they don't. But Peggy puts it in a tactical way. Oh, it's unwise for them. It's wrong for what they're doing. It's not a matter of, they would be better off politically to distance themselves. And so far, they don't think they're better off politically to distance themselves too much. Some of them are distancing themselves a little bit. But this needs to be unequivocally repudiated. It hasn't been.
But Bill, here's what I want to know. What do you think? I understand the money part of it because you put Trump in a fundraising email and the dollars just come rolling in. But from, again, a strategic, tactical point of view, he lost the White House, he lost the Senate, he lost the House. And now, like we're seeing in Texas, people who he is supporting are losing. So I'm just, from any kind of perspective, how does this work?
They don't see it quite that way. They picked up House seats. They almost won the Senate. They happened to lose those 2 Georgia elections. They'd like to have all the energy of Trump, all the demagoguery, that some of which was successful. Let's not kid ourselves, that Trump engaged in, and sort of get rid of the less attractive aspects of it. I don't think you can do that. They don't have the courage to repudiate him. They're scared, of course, of the primary challenges. So I think for one can step back and say, it's unwise of them to do this. But, they're not doing so, but they don't think they're doing badly. Does Kevin McCarthy think he's going to lose the House in November 2022? Do most pundits you have on, Chris, you talk to, intelligent people think, no, they think Republicans have a decent chance, right? They don't think the Republicans have a decent chance in 2024. Unfortunately, I would say, honestly, they do, despite the lack of repudiation. They have not paid a price in a very fundamental way. Yet, who's paid a price? Liz Cheney's paid a price. Kevin McCarthy hasn't paid a price. Mitch McConnell hasn't paid a price. All the huge number of Republicans who voted to overturn the elections on January 6th, they haven't paid a price.